And let the record show the sun is still out. And so we're not sitting here in the dark. Um, and hopefully we'll all be enlightened by the meeting today. I'm Rick Rothstein. I'm currently the chair of the North RAC, and this meeting is being recorded under Public Act 21-2, and will be posted on the DDS website after it's recorded. So please do your best to make a good faith effort to say your name before you speak to help people know who was talking and who was not talking. So our first item on the agenda is a special guest, Trevor Rogers. Trevor is from Central Office, and he's going to be talking to us about customized employment, uh, something that's relatively new in our portfolio.
Thank you. And I have a PowerPoint. I'm going to share my screen. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to come tonight to talk about customized employment. I'm going to be presenting with my colleague, Daryl Spears, and him and I are from the Department of Developmental Services, Employment and Day Services Division. So we are here to talk about customized employment. What is customized employment? So customized employment is an alternative method of finding competitive integrated employment that focuses on the strengths, skills, and abilities of individuals with significant disabilities and the unmet needs of employers. It's highly structured, person-centered, and it's carried out over time in 3 separate phases. It serves as a separate service model with more intensive, creative, and specifically modified supports to help individuals achieve their self-directed employment option. The service customized employment is completely job seeker driven. An individual completes customized employment services when they've been successfully placed in a competitive integrated employment position, and the individual then transitions to natural supports or an individual supported employment service. And one thing I do want to note is that in Connecticut, customized employment is an interagency process between the Departments of Aging and Disability Services, Bureau of Rehabilitation Services, so ADS BRS, and the Department of Developmental Services, as well as the State Department of Education. Customized employment services is provided by both ADS and DDS for the individuals that we serve. And this means that individuals who have relationships with the Bureau of Education Services for the blind, as well as the Bureau of Rehabilitation Services as well. So what does CE look like? The customized employment process is meant to be carried out over time, and this employment service approach is comprehensive and designed to ensure that the job seeker is the primary driver of the outcome that's obtained through the service. Customized employment services is a time-limited service that does not affect a DDS individual's annual budget. Individuals referred to as job seekers in the customized employment process continue with their current community activities while they're engaging in the customized employment process. When the job seeker becomes employed and finishes the customized employment process, they can still continue their desired community services when not working. This looks different for every job seeker, and this may mean engaging in customized employment for 2 days a week and then continuing one's current service the remaining days over a period of a few months. When the individual becomes employed and has finished customized employment, they will then work potentially 2 days a week and engage in their current service model for the remainder of the week. And again, this service looks different for every single job seeker because it's a truly customized approach. So some individuals may engage in customized employment for more than 2 days a week, with the desired outcome of being employed 3 or more days a week after they finish the customized employment process and become competitively employed. This may not be the case for all individuals, as The service is modified to ensure that the needs of the individual job seeker are fully met. The intent is to allow customized employment services to be blended with other services so that individuals can still participate in their current service while they're engaging in the customized employment process, and then can continue their current service once they are also competitively employed. So, as I mentioned earlier, customized employment is a three-part process, and the first phase is called job discovery. And during job discovery, the customized employment certified staff member, which is an important note that customized employment services can only be offered by a staff member at a provider agency who has an active customized employment certification. And so the CE certified staff member will spend time with the job seeker, his or her family, friends, and extended family, and in the community to get to know the individual and gain a more in-depth understanding of the job seeker's interests, likes, dislikes, their knowledge, their strengths, their skills, and abilities. The focus of job discovery is not to find a job. It's only to engage with the job seeker and his or her extended support system to identify up to 3 areas of interest in which employment might be explored in the community that the job seeker has access to. Discovery activities may include, but are not limited to, observations of the job seeker at home, interviewing family members, friends, and other significant individuals in the job seeker's life, engagement with the job seeker in community-based or family activities, as well as coordinated informal job shadows or work trials based on the job seeker's previous exposure to the world of work. 3 essential topics are explored in this process and will be which are the job seeker's benefit status, their ability to access transportation, and known as well as potential work site support needs. Information learned during the discovery process is compiled into a discovery report and used to create a visual resume and a customized employment plan that will guide the remainder of the customized employment process. And it's very important to note that sufficient time and interaction is a necessary component of job discovery because discovery is not finding a job. It's getting to know the job seeker. Evidence-based practice indicates that the average time frame for this phase of customized employment is about 5 to 7 weeks. The second phase of customized employment is job development, negotiation, and placement, which refers to the implementation of the customized employment plan. Job development is pursued based upon the approach and essential features of employment that are agreed to by the job seeker and supported by the job seeker's delivery team in the customized employment plan. During this phase of service, the customized employment certified staff member and the job seeker will approach employers and businesses that are identified in the customized employment plan, and they'll do this together. A list of job tasks that fit the job seeker has already been developed to offer potential employers when the unmet needs of a business are identified in job development and they match the job seeker's strengths and interests. Potential support needs will also be identified in advance and are revised for each specific workplace to account for unique characteristics when negotiating a customized position that meets both the needs of the employer and fits the job seeker. I am now going to turn it over to my colleague, Daryl Spears, and he's going to discuss the last phase of customized employment and the goals of the service. And before I do that, can I just get a hands up if people can see the screen? Because I did see there was a comment in, okay, good. Because I think some people might be having some difficulty.
Thank you, Trevor. Again, I just want to reintroduce myself. My name is Daryl Spears Jr. I am the colleague of Trevor Rogers. I am with the Department of Developmental Services as a transition advisor, and I am governed over the West region. So again, thank you all for having us today, and I'm just going to pick up the presentation from here. So we're going to discuss the last phase of customized employment, which is post-employment supports, also referred to as on-the-job support services, that may be necessary to support the job seeker during the initial training and stabilization of the individual's job placement, and extended supports for job seekers who will require job coaching to maintain skills learned and job retention. Once a job seeker is employed, they will transition to individual supported employment, which here at DDS we also refer to as ISC. This will allow the individual to access supports and services as necessary by an employment specialist who can provide training and support as needed to assist the individual in their new position. As of January 2023, there are approximately 30 provider organizations qualified to provide customized employment services, with about 60 certified staff members in the state. Not all of these certified staff have begun serving CE because of provider staffing limitations. Staff need to have a CE certification from an accredited source, in order to provide the service. The ADS DDS CE project team has been offering certification courses to provider staff members since the end of 2021 and will continue to work to increase the capacity of both agencies to offer the service to the individuals we serve. There are more provider staff graduating from certification courses this month and then again in June. There are some capacity limitations for this service, and individuals may have to wait for a provider with capacity to provide CE supports after they have been recommended for CE and the team has initiated the process. So I want to talk about the goals of customized employment. So the goal of customized employment is to find the job seeker or individual a competitive, integrated employment position that best fits their interests and needs. In most cases, positions gained through customized employment did not exist beforehand. The job seeker and their customized employment staff person work with employers to create a customized position that fits the unmet needs of the employer and the likes, skills, interests, and abilities of the individual. The certified customized employment staff member will utilize job carving to create a specifically modified position for the individual that pieces together duties from other positions and unmet needs of employers that may not already be duties assigned to a position within that place or organization. The certified staff member will work with the individual, employer, and the individual's natural supports to identify and implement potential modifications or accommodations necessary to assist the individual. Customized employment seeks to find a competitive integrated employment opportunity that works best for the job seeker. This may include full or part-time work, as well as entrepreneurship or self-employment options. Customized employment is a good strategy for those who need more intensive support than typical individualized or group models, and who may need to utilize more intensive discovery strategies for career and job direction. CE is effective for individuals with complexities that make it difficult to utilize traditional job search strategies. If an individual meets those requirements, DDS case managers should consider whether the job seeker fits any of the employment models criteria on the screen before initiating the CE referral process. VR counselors should consider what, if any, other traditional VR, or also known as BRS, employment service models that might be considered. There are a variety of paths that DDS job seekers can take to gain employment, such as employment transition services, group supported employment, individualized employment supports, ISE, or even the DDS one-time employment incentives. BRS employment models include, but are not limited to, trial work, work attachments, ISTPPs, and on-the-job training. An individual who has tried one or more of these individualized competitive employments or supported employment models without success and may need more intensive supports to achieve employment could potentially be a good candidate for customized employment. It is very important to note that there is no specific path to customize employment services. Rather, the service is an option that should be explored after the individual has tried other employment services and it has been determined that more individualized support is needed in order to achieve competitive integrated employment. So now this is what I like to call one of the best parts of our presentation. We are now going to show a brief video of Emma, who is a customized employment job seeker who shared her experience with customized employment at a DDS Fourth Tuesday forum. The short video is Emma talking with myself in the Employment and Day Services Division about customized employment. The screen was being presented at the time it was recorded, so Emma and myself pictures are very small, but the slides will change and show some of Emma's visual resume as she talks about her experience. All right, thank you. So, just a couple of things I want to say about that video, and it's so funny to hear myself conduct the interview with Emma, but just so that people are aware, Emma created that list independently. When I met with Emma prior to that Fourth Tuesday forum, it was strictly verbal communication and us having very informal conversation about some of her experience. And so the day of the Fourth Tuesday Forum, she came prepared with her list. A couple of other things that I wanted to point out. I was very happy that she made note that the visual resume could use some updates and some edits. And she also made mention that the fact that interests change. And so, it's important for us to keep that in mind and keep that in mind and consider that, because it's never a one stop shop, or we've helped an individual so we're all set. Employment, interest, and life itself is always evolving, so definitely something to keep in mind. Moving forward, while I prepared for that and working with Emma, I also had the privilege to work with Emma's mom, and she was very graceful about providing a testimony, if you will, about her experience and how she has envisioned CE thus far. So, what I am getting ready to read off to you is a message specifically from Emma's mom. So she says, "My greatest hope for Emma is to live a happy, independent, and fulfilling life. When we heard that Emma was eligible for CE, there was a tremendous, tremendous sense of relief. We celebrated the news. During her last trial work experience, it was clear that her strengths were not always highlighted. It was also clear that Emma struggled with social communication that led to misunderstandings. Emma wanted to do well during her last trial work experience. She wanted so badly to please her employer. Unfortunately, she was not able to demonstrate mastery of the skills necessary to move forward with employment. The answer was customized employment. That is why we celebrated when we received the news that Emma was eligible for customized employment. Understanding her strengths and contributions to potential employers, her needs, all the strategies that need to be in place for success that were not available during a trial work experience, and her interests like the videography work, graphic design, and volunteering make up the CE experience. A job that is well matched to her interests and abilities with reasonable accommodations could make a big difference in her ability to be included in the workforce. So I just want to go over the first step in pursuing customized employment is to talk to your DDS case manager. Customized employment is an interagency process with the Department of Aging and Disability Services, also known as ADS, including the Bureau of Rehabilitation Services, also known as BRS, and the Bureau of Education Services for the Blind, also known as BESB. If you don't have a DDS case manager, contact your vocational rehabilitation counselor. And don't forget to reach out to your case manager if you have any questions about customized employment. The Employment and Day Services team is always here to assist you and your case manager if you have any questions about this innovative service option. Again, I want to thank everyone for their time. I'm going to pass this back to Trevor just in case he has any closing comments. And I hope that this was insightful. And if there are any questions, please feel free.
Thanks, Daryl, and thanks everyone for allowing us to present today. If there are any questions, we're more than happy to answer them. I also shared in the chat the link to the full video of the Fourth Tuesday Forum, because I know some people had some trouble with hearing the audio when we were showing the video. And so I put that in the chat, and Emma's part starts just about 26, 27 minutes. Are there any questions for us about customized employment?
Rick, you have your hand up?
Yep. I think this was very helpful. my son's IP is tomorrow. So this gives us something else to talk about. And I did not understand previously that a CE job, once you get to the point of having a job, was something that was still could be supported by a job coach. My understanding was that it had to be like a truly independent, competitive job. And I think that does open it up for more people because there are a lot of our folks who just need that person standing by and can't just rely on the natural supports.
Yes, that's a very good point. So customized employment is individuals who go through the process. It's for individuals who will be transitioning to natural supports, but it's also available to individuals who will be transitioning to an individualized supported employment model so that they'll have access to a job coach to assist with retention and any training and ongoing needs that might be there. So thank you. That was a very good point. And where the employment and day services team is always here to assist your case manager going forward if you do find that customized employment might be a good good service option.
Kim, you had your hand up?
I did. One sec. Okay, good. Yeah, I did. Will all nonprofits have someone to do customized employment?
So I can't promise that. What I can say is we're working with provider agencies to get their staff certified because like we did share, customized employment can only be offered by a staff member with a certification.
Mhm.
The certification can be gained from any accredited ACRE accredited source. So there are courses that have been offered for a long time, but the Connecticut course is free to provider agency staff. So we're continually offering that course so that providers can send their staff and begin offering the service. I know we had shared in the presentation, there are approximately 30 provider agencies at this point in time who have staff certified in customized employment, but that number is growing very fast, I'll say. About this time last year, there were only about 5 agencies in the state who had staff qualified. We've been offering our certification course about 4 times a year. We just actually launched another iteration of it, and then we have another one launching in March, and we accept about 20 provider staff learners per session. And so we are working with the provider staff to make sure that we can, with providers to make sure that we can expand the service. And it's our project team's goal to expand the service to make sure that all the individuals interested have the ability to go through the service. So we're taking into account, language needs and barriers. So we have provider staff members who have who can speak American Sign Language or Spanish. We're also making sure we have providers across the state so that we're not just in one region having a good amount of providers. We're trying to make sure that the provider staff that are becoming certified are dispersed across the state so that we can offer the service to as many individuals as possible.
So if a nonprofit doesn't have anyone trained, we just wait until someone's trained.
Correct. They would have to
Okay.
have somebody trained. But just because an individual is working with like a nonprofit provider doing like a day or other employment service doesn't mean they can't work with a different provider to engage in customized employment while they're still engaging with their current provider. That's the really nice thing about customized employment is that it's one-time non-annualized funds, which means it does not go against the annual budget of the individual. And the reason is so that it can be used as a transition mechanism to allow individuals to stay in their current service while going through the process and then transition to employment and then still have the ability to go to their current service the days that they aren't working because we don't know what the employment outcome will be. Like we said, sometimes it might be 2 days, 3 days, maybe more, but it's all depending on the exact case.
Right. And I also wanted to say that you both did a wonderful job and it was
Thank you.
very concise. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank
we'll
you.
make sure we send we're gonna PDF the PowerPoint and we'll send it so that it can be shared with this group as well.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
We have one last question before we depart. Adriana asks, can someone who is self-directed participate in CE?
So yes, someone who is self-directed can participate in CE. The way we have it set up in our budget system, that someone who is self-directing their services would be able to participate in CE, but at this time they would have to work with a provider agency during the customized employment process. But we actually have been working through some of those pieces to make sure that this service is available to all of the different individuals that we support across DDS. If there are no more questions, I want to say thank you to everyone for making the time tonight to allow Daryl and I to present. We are always available if you have any questions about customized employment or any other employment and day services. And we'll make sure that after we log off tonight, we send a copy of this to, I believe, should I send it to Claudia so that it can be included? Okay, so I'll send
Yes,
it to
please.
Claudia. And thank you again, everyone, for allowing us to come.
Have a good evening.
Have a great one, everyone.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
So that was very helpful. And so we'll go back to our regular agenda. This is the time for, this is Rick Rothstein. This is a time period for open forum. If any members of the public wish to bring something to the attention of the RAC, this is your time. You have approximately 3 minutes to discuss whatever it is, although I've been known to extend that in the judgment of the chair. So do we have members of the public who wish to speak? Okay,
Rick?
so
Rick,
yep,
this is Donna Clausen.
go ahead.
Doesn't really fall into the agenda, but I would like to share that I'm very concerned about Allied, who provides financial support services to many of our people. I have one employee that paperwork was completed by DDS and by myself. It was approved back in October. The individual has still not received the pay raise, despite many phone calls. And I don't know what we do about Allied. We're trying to work through the unions and all kinds of avenues, but just so that people are aware, and especially people that continue to have Allied doing this service, it is horrendous.
Not a new story, unfortunately.
No, but it's getting worse instead of better.
I thought I heard something about improvements in the FI process within ARPA, within our ARPA plan, but I don't know the specifics. But I'm sure Stacy will bring that back to central office, and there are going to be other input sessions or Q&A sessions, and I think everyone, in the ones I attended, everyone felt free to speak up and speak their mind, and Commissioner Sheft and Deputy Commissioner Velardo and the regional staff all were very responsive, I thought, to whatever people's thoughts were about where they'd like to go with their loved one. So, anyway, anyone have anything else? The next item on the agenda is the legislative update. I'm going to divert from my usual practice of going through specific bills because we clearly don't have enough time to talk about all the bills. And there currently is not the greatest of information about what the bills are, what the bill numbers are, where they are in committees, and what they're all about. We're in the drafting phase of most of them. And so for most of them right now, we just have a single sentence. and sometimes a press conference, sometimes a statement from someone who's introduced it. The committees are starting to, mostly Human Services and Public Health, are starting to consider these and decide whether they're going to take them up this session. And once they take them up, the next process is usually either a subject matter public hearing. So there could be a subject matter public hearing because there's so many issues about fiscal intermediaries. No one has a particular idea of how to fix it or what they'd like to see legislation to do, but let's just hear from the public and the folks in the administration as to what the issues are. And then the committee then decides, well, gee, this is an idea maybe we could pursue, and they decide whether they're going to draft a bill. The other method is once the bill is brought up, it's called being raised, the committee votes to draft a bill. And so it goes up to I think it's the 5th floor in the LOB to the lawyers. And the lawyers and sometimes some outside people start writing a bill. And what they write and they send back down to the committee for review is very often just a shell of what the final bill is. There is something called a strike all amendment. And so the committee, when they review the bill, can say, gee, we don't like any of this. Just strike the whole thing out, and here's what we'd like to put in its place. And that can happen all the way till the time of final passage. So even if you have a bill that makes it through committee with a unanimous vote, everybody's happy. It has a fiscal note. It's going to cost money. It goes to appropriations, and appropriations says, yeah, you need $3 million for each of the next 2 years. We'll give you the $3 million. That bill then goes to the floor, and in the House or the Senate, or sometimes both, an amendment can come up to basically strike it and start all over again. So there's no reassurance, as I've learned, particularly over the last 8 to 10 years, that when you make it out of committee, you're done. It's only done when the governor signs it. That's the only time that it's done. And if he vetoes it, sends it back for reconsideration, the work continues. Now, the most activity, I would say anyone who's interested in really getting involved in advocacy this year is get in good shape, buy a new pair of sneakers, and plan to spend a lot of time either in front of Zoom testifying or up at the Capitol marching around. There are some very significant pieces of legislation. I was with Speaker Ritter yesterday at a meeting for our agency at HARC, and Speaker Ritter talked about his bill, which is HB 5001, House Bill 5001, which is a bill to ameliorate the waiting list. I had to look up the term ameliorate. It doesn't mean to make it go away. It's to make it better. And Speaker Ritter speaks very forcibly about how this is the year, because the state's in better fiscal shape, that we finally take on a bipartisan, bicameral basis, the issue of the waiting list. The timing is a little odd. I mean, we'll take it when we can get it, because we are in the middle, in the early stages of ARPA, and ARPA has its own plan that down the line may have an impact on the waiting list, but the wait list effect seems to be on the back end and not on the front end. It's dependent on people moving out of congregate settings and then people coming off the wait list to move into the congregate settings. I mean, there's some other new money in there that can help the wait list, but right now it's still, the soup is still being made. So the stew is still being made. So it'll be interesting to see. I also met with Walt of the DD Council yesterday, and whenever it's the exec of the ARC Connecticut. And we've kicked this around before, and there are questions and concerns, probably more like feelings than dislike feelings right now, that we all would like to see something done, but what is it that we're going to do? And hopefully we can all work together this year to make stuff happen. Ritter uses the term that it's an omnibus bill. Omnibus bills in Washington are, thousands and thousands of pages. I'd say in Connecticut, you maybe get up to 1,000. So it's the vehicle, it's the that he's planning to use to bring a lot of the IDD issues together. And so what families would like to see included, what we would like to see excluded, what we'd like to see clarified, is all things that are going to happen between now and early June. So pay attention and be prepared to speak up. One of the issues under consideration is changing the definition of who is eligible for DDS services. Under present law, as it's been for many years, one has to have an IQ of 69 or below to be eligible for DDS services. And those IQ tests are taken at a very young age. If your IQ is 70 or above, under the current system, you get nothing from DDS. You are eligible if you have autism for what's called the autism waiver through DSS. And that is a much more limited menu of services with a lower cap on how much can be spent on a single individual. So some would like to see the DDS system open to everybody. So adopt a functional definition of disability, much like federal law does. And most states, I understand, do have that definition. It's a great opportunity for a whole bunch of new people to get in the system, but we are already having serious problems taking care of who we have. DDS has personnel issues in the direct care area. The private providers certainly do, and we have vacancies in programs that can't be filled because agencies don't have staff. So the last thing you would think we'd want to do right now is to open the floodgates. But there is a constituency that's advocating for that. So personally, I think that the autism waiver, which is very limited in the number of people that can be served, should be significantly expanded and then selectively looked at those sort of unique cases where someone is truly functionally unable to function without a DDS level of support. So there's also two bills to I would say abolish the Section 14C programs. These are the programs that some of our more severe folks work in that pay below the minimum wage. Their pay is based upon a percentage of the productivity that they have compared to a quote normal person doing the same job. So if you have a disability and you're in a DDS program and you've gotten into a 14C program, the full rate for the position might be $15 an hour, but you only produce half as many products or services as a normal person would. So in that case, you get paid 50% of the minimum wage, or $7.50 an hour. Unfortunately, there are some groups that say, well, you ought to get paid at least the minimum. Well, families I know who have their children in 14C programs know that if they're not being paid based on an adjusted rate, they won't have any job at all, because that employer is not going to go from the $7.50 an hour to 15 just because it sounds good. Those jobs will be eliminated. So that's a I don't have a horse in that battle, so to speak, whatever that phrase is. I'm most concerned about our eligibility process and making sure it isn't open too widely. Making sure that our agencies, I actually spoke to this yesterday with several legislators, that the governor did not include an increase in the rates for nonprofits this year. And anyone who's served by a nonprofit knows that nonprofits are in very tough shape. Inflation has hit them very, very hard, and they're still having trouble recruiting and retaining qualified staff. So there is a bill, there is an effort by Senator Austin, who is the co-chair of appropriations on the Senate side, Democrat, to give a significant increase to private providers the next 2 years, 9% this year, 7% next year, and then go to an indexing system for the rate. So when cost of living goes up, based on some index, the rates would go up by a percentage based on that index. She's talked about it for a year or two, but our fiscal condition is a little different now. So she did have a press conference with the Alliance of all the nonprofits, and both sides of the aisle and the Senate spoke very, very favorably of that idea. So having money isn't everything, and right now the Treasury is in pretty good shape. But I think Commissioner Sheff used this term. May have been a legislator. You know, there's, let's say, $1 million out there that's to be potential new spending. There are probably $100 million of new requests. And everybody feels that this is the year that their requests will be considered and funded. So it will be a very active session. Anyone have any questions? Yeah, I have, you know, for many years, Brad O'Connor was sort of was the legislative staff in central office. And Rod performs a service for all of us, for the department, for the councils, for advocacy groups and families. And he reviewed basically every bill that came out every year. And as it went through the process, he identified those that might be of interest or have an effect on our individuals and our families. And he identified those that, well, you know, this is a nice idea, but it has nothing to do with us. And he issued a weekly report. We haven't gotten that report for 3 years. And I've brought that to the attention of the Council on Developmental Services, and we'll be bringing it up with the commissioner tomorrow. So hopefully we can get something like that back. The department has some technical changes they want to make. We don't know what they are yet, but the Public Health Committee today decided to raise those concepts. And you know, if these are things that are good for our individuals and for our families and for the department, we do want to speak in favor of those. If they're not, well, we may not want to speak in favor of those. That's certainly a personal decision. But Get your rest now. And those sneakers. So any questions?
Rick, I just want to say thank you so much for everything you're doing and being such an advocate for our folks and giving us all the information all the time.
Yeah, well, Annette, it doesn't just take a village. We have 17,000 families, roughly. Some families have more than one. And compared to some of the other influence groups, we are a small influence group. So we have to make our voices heard with our legislators. So your state rep and state senators are important, particularly if they're in leadership, particularly if they're on human services, public health, or appropriations. And if you can have them come to your home and meet your son or daughter or grandson or daughter, whatever. If you know them if you each know each other on a first name basis, that really helps. And so when we get down to vote time, I can call up Derek Slapp and say, Derek, you know about my son and you know about the difficulty agencies are having, and we really need you to support the increase in funding for the nonprofits. And legislators want to do that. They want to do a good job, but they are overwhelmed. Very few have taken the time to really fully understand our population and our needs. And they have to deal with so many issues on a daily basis. So the more we can educate them, the better off we are. So you're muted, Annette.
I'm sorry, my son needed help with dinner. I was talking him through it.
That's okay. So anyway, and we do have interest from folks to join the RAC. Had a long conversation this afternoon with Susan Hughes, whose interest has been spurred again by Kim, thankfully. Gold star for that, Kim. And yeah, Susan has some good ideas, and I did tell her how to get involved. So also explained what our role is, which I guess she didn't know exactly what it was. But she then said, well, I'm taking up too much of your time. I said, no, Susan, this is what I do. I'm retired. This is what I do. And if I can help someone through a difficult time, I will do that. Because over time, we've had that help from someone else, either here or somewhere out in the community. And giving back is important. So anyway, that's I think enough of that. We all voted. We have who we have. Now we have to hold their feet to the fire. So I think it's time for the regional directors update.
Good evening, everyone. This is Stacy Silva, the Regional Director for the North Region. I just have a couple of quick points. First of all, I want to thank everyone that did join the commissioner call. I saw a lot of you there, and we were, I think we were represented well from the North Region, so I appreciate you all for that. The second thing I wanted to just give a reminder that the fourth Tuesday forums with the Deputy Commissioner, The next one is February 28th at 3 o'clock, and that one is on residential transformation and ARPA funding. So, I mean, I think that we could never hear it enough. You always pick up more, and each time you hear more information. So, if you can, please, at February 28th at 3 o'clock, sign on, or it'll be recorded and you can click and listen to it, afterwards. The other thing I want to announce is that we have 11 providers in the North region that are interested in submitting plans for phase 1 of this transformation process. So we hope to be meeting with them soon to hear more about what they're thinking and to have those discussions. Some agencies are interested in just doing res, some are interested in doing day or both. So as that unfolds, I will definitely be sharing more information after we hear, some of their plans. And the last thing I want to announce is that February 24th, I will have a new assistant regional director for the private division starting. So I won't be wearing 2 hats anymore. And she'll be starting February 24th. So I will definitely invite her to our next meeting. And she comes from the private provider side, and she's had over 25 years of experience in the field. So I look forward to introducing her to you as well.
Okay, well, we'll
And
look
that's all I have.
We didn't know you were still wearing 2 hats, so thankfully that comes to an end.
Yes.
You weren't getting 2 paychecks, and you can't do 100 hours a week, so it's much appreciated. I would encourage everyone to tune in to that ARPA 4th Tuesday. I've fallen a little behind on attending ARPA meetings. There's no public participation, but the public is allowed to watch live or record it. And I'd say I'm about a week behind, so I need to catch up. And it's very, very complex. I mean, there are issues that DDS has had for, I would say, decades. I mean, I've been around this for over 30 years. That are going to be addressed, but some of them are so deep that that would have been much easier if we had had the opportunity to fix the underlying issues first. But when the federal government says, here's the money, you have to spend it by the state, everything gets thrown into high gear, and there's some really good stuff in there. I have concerns about some of the transformation, but the new case management system is going to be a godsend. There are the technology grants, which I think are still open this round, for agencies and for individuals. It's on the DDS website. I can't tell you where because I don't know. But I think if you search technology grants on the DDS website, you'll find it. So I did want to talk a little bit about the ARPA Q&A sessions for those of us who attended. And from Stacy's perspective, what did people think of that? Were they helpful? Would you like to see something different the next time? Certainly people have very interesting ideas. And some requests for information that I know have kicked around this group before, like I-type housing, name to be determined, were answered in various parts of the state. And I think the West Hartford I-type project has just come online on New Park Avenue. So yeah, I live in a building owned by the same housing authority. So I think our maintenance guy has been over there kind of keeping track of things. So anyway, Stacy, what was your reaction or the regional directors' reactions to the ARPA Q&As. Did you guys think it was productive?
Absolutely. I definitely thought it was very helpful, and I think the administration appreciated the parents and guardians that did come out and providers. Like you said, there were great ideas and feedback for more discussion, and definitely the commissioner would like to have more. And also, just personally, it was an opportunity for me to have conversations with parents and guardians that brought concerns up. I was able to, have conversations, a couple of days afterwards to help just brainstorm or resolve any issues that they wanted to discuss. So I think, those opportunities are always very good.
Yeah, I think I was very impressed with how the regional directors and the regional staff all said, well, I don't know the answer, but I can talk to so-and-so and I'll get back to you. And that's a good thing, because information has to flow from the bottom to the top. What we're thinking about is what we'd like to do for our loved ones. And if we want the system to accommodate that, we need to let everyone know what it is. And hopefully the system can accommodate that. So maybe under ARPA, some things we'd always wanted to do will get done. And I think to the extent we make any progress on that will be good news. So any other comments on ARPA? Any questions on ARPA? It's one of those 4-letter words. It's right up at the top of my list right now. Somebody says that word, I say, don't swear at me. But if you have an hour, go to the DDS website. The meetings are all listed there. The overall advisory group is probably where the most relevant information is. That's where it all bubbles up to. Tune in, just see what they're talking about. And if you have a thought about what they're talking about or what they're not talking about, there's an email address where you can contact the committee directly. Or if you know any of the people on the committee, feel free to reach out to them as well, because many of them are providers. There are some families, and there's some DDS staff as well. So. Something else I wanted to bring up today was one of our favorites, kind of what's happening with the waiting list right now. We know that there are these initiatives that Speaker Ritter would like to do. We don't know what it is. Is it the autism waiver list only? Is it the IDD list? Is it both of them? We'll have to see probably in the next 2 weeks what the bill says. But I've heard that there are some waiting list initiatives happening now. Back to accommodating some folks who were parents are over 70 and things like that. And I don't know if there's any clarification you can have that, Stacy, on that. Heard that from the South region.
That is correct. We're assisting in individuals that have parents that are in 70s or older. And we also are assisting individuals that are underserved that just may need a little bit more to, remain at home with their family.
Okay. And that kind of goes into the other item in that agenda item, which is emergencies. Emergencies happen all the time, and they're accommodated as we can. I've been in touch recently with a family who in our region who I would consider having an emergency, not an emergency placement, about having an emergency, and I've encouraged the family to reach out to through their case manager and up through the region. Currently, they have a self-directed day program at home, and I think, but due to a series of medical emergencies, I think the family could use some help. So I told this individual that if they go up the chain, that they couldn't use my name, so that and that I would make you aware of that, Stacy. So we can talk offline if could give you a little more information. They haven't said, well, no, do this for us. Trust me, this family, I don't need to do it for them. They are very, very strong advocates. Sometimes they wait a little too long, but don't we all sometimes? So that's everything on the agenda except for our favorite, officer nominations and elections. It's that time of the decade again. And last summer when Kathleen stepped down as chair, I agreed to serve on an interim basis till our next election. And we're now at that point. So I think we have several good candidates within our group. I'm not going to volunteer anyone. If somebody is interested or you would like to nominate someone, feel free to do so. And we can kick it around. We need a chair, vice chair, and secretary. The vice chair's role is to back up for the chair if the chair is not available. The secretary is really ceremonial, and the chair's responsibility is organizing the agenda and running the meeting. And we have a very good group, and it makes it a lot easier. There was a time, as Alyssa Valero told me, that there was one person that always came to the RAC meeting in the North region. And she was on the North RAC for 40 years. At least so I was told. Claudia was there when she retired from the RAC, and she has since passed on, but I think it's time for someone to step up, and I'm not going to go away. I will serve until I'm replaced and continue to do what I've always done. So,
Rick, are you willing to take another term?
I would say that I'd like to give someone another chance. Yeah, I'm secretary on the council. I'm very involved with the legislature this year, and also working on the abuse and neglect project with the council. So we're reviewing the policies and procedures within current statutes at this point to understand what the system is supposed to be, how it actually works, and the council is prepared to make some recommendations, is going to make some recommendations. And the commissioner and senior staff can decide, yes, we think those are good ideas and we'll do them, or we'll do them partially, or we won't do them. And we've kicked around some, we've looked at other states to see what other states do. We've got contacts in three neighboring states that have given us some good information, and I would say Connecticut is far from being the worst. That it's a difficult issue across the country, and these three states have taken slightly different approaches. And as one of the experts we interviewed said, this structure was put in place basically 40 years ago. And nothing is the same today as it was 40 years ago. When you look at all types of abuse, you look at all types of neglect, everything has changed, and things are much more transparent, and there's more inclination to get the civil authorities involved. Criminal authorities involved, I'm sorry. So that is not our mission. That would require probably a year buildup to at least to go to the legislature. We do have some ideas, but everything costs money. And while I think there's a lot of sympathy for change, if we go that way eventually, it has a price tag, and price tags are hard to sell, particularly when we have people on the wait list and staffing issues in public and private. Health and safety is probably the most important thing to me, but I would have a hard time going to the legislature and say, let's take $10 million, pick a number, and let's refine the system. So. And anyone who takes this on, if they want a little coaching as they get started, I will agree to do that.
Tammy, would you and Andrew be interested?
We have a lot of things going on right now, so it really isn't something that if we were to do anything like this, we didn't want to give it the 100%. And at this point, maybe we could give it 20 if so.
Okay.
Thanks for thinking of us.
That's okay.
I
Stacy, I'm out of options. Sorry.
Oh, I noticed Donna Cohen is not with us today.
Yeah, maybe she would do it. I'll continue vice chair if you want, but that's it.
Yeah, well, I think perhaps the best thing to do is to have everyone sleep on it and contact the other members of the council and see if we can have a vote next time.
Sounds good.
So anyway, that's all for me. If anyone does have anything else, anything anyone wants to bring to the attention of the Council on Developmental Services at our meeting tomorrow. I can't change that agenda, but there is a Q&A with the commissioner each month. So if you think of something, just shoot me an email. And is there a motion to adjourn then?
Motion.
Okay, Tammy, second.
I'll second.
Okay, Annette. So I guess we'll see you next month. And I'm really going to hold firm on this, I think. So there was some lobbying in the last month. So, but I think this is time. So.
Now, Stacy, will you be on the next call next month?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
And the new person will be on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, congratulations on finding someone. It's not easy to find these senior people.
Yes,
So,
it is very difficult. We're excited.
I'm glad. Okay, so yes, we're adjourned at 6:10, 6:16. I'm sorry.
Good night.
Good
In the
night,
meantime, we'll
everybody.
see you
Thank
with the
you.
Capitol. Appropriations hearing is February 28th, I understand. So You might want to mark that on your calendar. That's usually the late night of the year for health programs. We all can think of something, some good reason why